The time is finally here for Gohan to awaken that dormant Saiyan blood, get his ass back in the fight, and really kick some ass. So what I want to do today, I did one of these for Majin Buu last week leading up to his fight with Basil, is I kind of want to analyze some of the techniques Gohan has used in the past and how they might be utilized in this upcoming fight against Lavender. And we know some new info that we didn't know last week about the Universe 9 fighters, is that Goku and Gohan are unable to sense their ki, which is very, very interesting. So it's almost as though their strength is it's unknown. So Gohan and Goku aren't really too sure of, this actually might be good for Goku's fight because maybe then he won't hold back, but, it's Goku, he still will. So the first thing to talk about with Gohan is definitely his transformations. Now, we know from the next episode preview that Gohan will indeed go at least Super Saiyan 1. Now, we have seen Gohan use Super Saiyan 1 a couple of times in Dragon Ball Super. He used it in the filler arc, like 7, 8, 9 episodes of filler. He used it while he was Great Saiyaman. He used it in a sparring match with Goku. And then, of course, we saw a little bit of fighting from Super Saiyan Gohan during the Resurrection F arc. Now, based on previous comments made by Toriyama in an interview about how he wants to move away from, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, kind of stacking on those normal forms, it seems like Toriyama wants to go in the direction of, Super Saiyan Blue, and then Goku Black had Super Saiyan Rosé. So I don't think we're going to be seeing Gohan utilize Super Saiyan 2 in this fight. It's just going to be Super Saiyan 1. Now, of course, this is a shame because, everyone's most iconic moment with Gohan has got to be when he first goes Super Saiyan 2. I could see some people saying, when he first arrives as Ultimate Gohan to fight Super Buu, and he's like, fight you? No, motherfucker, I'm here to kill you. Now, while we're on the subject of that fight, Ultimate Gohan vs. Super Buu, of course, Gohan also does have his ultimate form. Now, we saw Gohan last do this when he was fighting Beerus all the way back in the Battle of Gods arc. Now, I personally do not think we will be seeing Ultimate Gohan in this battle. I'm thinking Gohan will probably get wrecked. He maybe will win, maybe will lose. I don't think that's really going to matter. The big Gohan fight, get it hyped up. And I'm kind of like, well, maybe we could tone it down a little bit. Because I'm not expecting anything great from Gohan here. I personally believe Gohan right now is not really able to access the ultimate form or utilize its full power. Something along those lines. And I think Gohan will use this battle against Lavender, in which he probably will get his ass handed to him, at least for a little bit of it. He'll probably use this as motivation, and he will further train before the Tournament of Power properly starts. And I think once that tournament starts, we will see Ultimate Gohan ready to fuck shit up. But in this battle against Lavender, I think we're only going to see Super Saiyan 1. Now, as far as the techniques Gohan is going to utilize, I did a lot of thinking, and Gohan does not have as many specialized attacks as you would think. He really only has a handful, although there are hints, and there's also possibilities that he could utilize many more techniques from possibly other Z fighters. I think Gohan might be able to do that in a similar fashion as Trunks. Speaking of Trunks, let's talk about this for 1 second. Now, we know going into this fight that Gohan is going to lose his eyesight. He's going to be poisoned by Lavender. And he's also not able to sense Lavender's ki. So that puts Gohan in quite the bind. And I was kind of, going through different, sources, rewatching some old episodes, trying to get a good feel of how Gohan might approach this fight. And this stood out to me. Now, in what was the most recent, there actually is a brand new chapter of the Dragon Ball Super manga that just came out, but in chapter 20 of the Dragon Ball Super manga, we were at the portion where Goku Black, in his Rose form, and Zamasu utterly wreck Goku, Trunks, and Vegeta. Now, in the anime, Trunks then proceeded to transform into his Super Saiyan Rage, which allowed Goku and Vegeta to escape. Well, there were 2 escapes. It also, since it's the first time, it was when Mai and Yajirobe interfered and kind of got them away. One of those 2 times. Now, in the manga, Trunks actually buys them time to escape by using the Teo-Ken, otherwise known as the Solar Flare. Then, once Trunks, Goku, Vegeta, and Mai have escaped from the battlefield, Goku asks Trunks, like, oh, wow, I'm surprised that you know the Teo-Ken. And Trunks tells Goku that he learned it from Gohan long ago. Now, we have never seen Gohan use the Teo-Ken, but we have seen at least one instance of the Teo-Ken being used with Gohan directly there, which is when Dodoria was chasing Gohan and Krillin down, where they had just saved Dende from attack by, Zarbon, Dodoria, and Frieza. And in order for them to escape, Krillin busts out the Teo-Ken, the Solar Flare, allowing them to escape. Now, it is very, very, very likely that this is probably the moment where Gohan learned it, or perhaps he learned it off screen. But my point is, even though it was future Gohan who taught Trunks the Teo-Ken, I would say it is a very safe bet to also assume that present-day Gohan can use the Teo-Ken. Now, I think the Teo-Ken could be a possible strategy, a real solid weapon for Gohan to use here in the Zen exhibition match against Lavender. The only thing I'm not too sure of is that, of course, the Teo-Ken, utilizes sunlight. Now, they're battling in this sort of weird chamber at Zeno's palace. And even though there appears to be stars and all kinds of crazy shit around them, I'm not sure if that is going to be able to properly utilize sunlight, or even if Gohan will not be able to use that at all. But I do think there is a distinct possibility we could see Gohan use the Teo-Ken, considering that he's blinded and he cannot sense ki. Now, this next thing, I just wanted to throw this in here real quick. I would say, obviously, this will not factor in, but remember, Gohan is quite proficient with swords, both as a child when he received a sword from Piccolo, and of course later as an adult he had a lot of training with the Z sword. It's just a skill Gohan has because, again, Gohan doesn't have as many specialized techniques as you would think compared to some of the other fighters, like Vegeta or fucking Trunks, who can use every single move ever created. But I just wanted to toss this in here just as, kind of an extra thing that Gohan could be capable of doing. Maybe that could come up in the Tournament of Power. I don't think so, but it's good to keep all options on the table, discuss everything. Now, if someone was to just walk up and ask you, name Gohan's signature move, I'm sure a majority of people would say the Kamehameha. That is, of course, the move that is most associated with Goku, but Gohan, that appears to be his go-to move. And I do think if Gohan is going to use any type of beam attack in this fight with Lavender, it will indeed be the Kamehameha, but Gohan uses this a lot less than you would think. Alright, the very first time Gohan uses a Kamehameha is against Cell after Gohan has already gone Super Saiyan 2. Very clearly, Gohan mastered the Kamehameha when he was training in the time chamber with his father Goku. Now, once Gohan becomes an adult, I could not find any instances of adult Gohan using the Kamehameha outside of the movies. Now, I'm talking about the Buu Saga, essentially. I'm not talking about GT, and I'm not talking about the movies. Of course, Gohan does the father-son, well, not father-son, the family Kamehameha to take out Broly, and in other instances. But adult Gohan never busts it out. You would think Ultimate Gohan would have used the Kamehameha. No, he does not. Now, there is one instance when Majin Buu is hatching, Gohan goes into the Kamehameha beam fire pose, and he shoots out a yellow blast. Now, I know in the manga, he calls out Kamehameha before firing, but in the anime, he does not. So, I believe that was intended to be a Kamehameha, but in the anime, they just, basically colored it differently and are, I guess, implying it's a different attack. But that's really the only time. And then, of course, in Dragon Ball Super, At the very least, we've seen him use it several times as Great Saiyaman, so we know that is, like, definitely a go-to for him. And I would say it is very likely we see Gohan bust out this attack, the Kamehameha, at least once against Lavender. Now, the last technique I wanted to go over is, of course, the Masenko, the Demon Flash. Now, the Masenko is an attack that was taught to Gohan by Piccolo. That's why it's got the demon or devil in its name. Now, this, of course, was the attack that, child Gohan spammed non-fucking stop. Of all Gohan's attacks, this is the one he utilizes. He uses this way more than he ever does the Kamehameha. I would probably say we would see this because I believe Gohan does also use this in his battle with Super Buu. And Gohan does also use this in the Resurrection arc as well. Resurrection F arc as well. Now, I'd say that the Masenko is not necessarily very likely for Gohan to use, but it definitely also is a possibility, and I wanted to throw it in here just because it's another named special attack that Gohan does, and he really doesn't have a lot of those. He mainly uses just basic attacks, punches, kicks, and generic ki blasts, not really so much the big specialized attacks that really people think, Dragon Ball is like notorious for, but I mean, especially in Dragon Ball Z, there were many instances of just normal attacks scattered, between the big explosive final flashes and Kamehamehas and stuff. It was always the villains who were really going crazy with the special attacks. All in all, I'd say Gohan definitely does not have as interesting a moveset as Majin Buu does. So going into his fight, I would say there is a lot less possibility. But I am very excited to see if Gohan will go to his ultimate form or if he's just going to stick with Super Saiyan 1. I'm fairly confident we will not see Super Saiyan 2. We're not going to see a lot of those type of forms a lot not from this point, I think. It's just mainly going to be, these baseline forms, Super Saiyan Blue, Gohan's ultimate form, forms that are distinctly different from each other. And especially with how quality Buu's fight against Basil was, I now have high expectations for this Gohan fight against Lavender. I do think Lavender is going to give Gohan the business, but there very well might be a surprise that we are not aware of that Toei or Toriyama has in store for us. We can only hope.